Aira stood in front of the mirror, her wedding ring feeling heavier than ever. The silver band had once meant forever. Now it was nothing more than a symbol of betrayal. Her reflection stared back, eyes dull with exhaustion, lips pressed into a line she no longer recognized. The woman in the mirror wasn't the girl who had danced barefoot in the rain, laughing under city lights. That girl had loved fearlessly. That girl had trusted Rian. She had loved him for 5 years, truly, fiercely, without condition. Rian had been her anchor, her confidant, the hand that steadied her in life's storms. Their love had been the kind of love that made everything else quieter. When he proposed, it hadn't felt like a question. It had felt like a promise she had already said yes to 100 times. 3 years of marriage followed. Quiet mornings with coffee and kisses. Plans for the future written in the margins of Sunday newspapers. Dreams whispered across pillows, tangled with laughter. She had believed they were unshakable. Until the day the doctor said she couldn't have children. She still remembered the coldness of the room, the way the fluorescent lights buzzed too loudly. The doctor's voice was gentle, but the words were merciless. "I'm sorry, Aira. You're infertile." Rian hadn't said anything. He just sat there, staring at the floor, not even reaching for her hand. And that silence hurt more than the diagnosis. In the days that followed, something in him changed. The distance wasn't spoken, it simply grew, like frost spreading slowly across glass. He stopped laughing with her. Stopped looking at her the same way. Stopped sleeping next to her. And then came the betrayal. Her name was Mira. Younger. Effortlessly radiant. And fertile. The affair wasn't even a secret for long. Aira discovered it in the most cliché way possible, a message notification left open on his phone. She didn't cry that night. She just packed a bag and left to her parents' house. Later came to know that Mira was pregnant. Rian didn't fight for Aira. He didn't ask her to stay. He offered her a divorce with a calmness that broke her heart. "You deserve someone who can give you more," he had said. No apology. No remorse. Just an excuse wrapped in cruelty. She signed the papers. And with the alimony, she walked away. Aira chose a city where no one knew her name. Where her story wasn't whispered behind sympathetic smiles. A place where she could rebuild without the weight of the past pressing on her. She rented a small apartment overlooking a crowded street that pulsed with life at all hours. The sounds were strange at first, sirens, shouting, laughter, music. But over time, the noise became her lullaby. She enrolled in a business program. The books kept her company at night. The lectures filled her days. Her classmates admired her sharp mind, her quiet strength, but no one knew the war she fought in silence. There were nights she cried herself to sleep, still haunted by the look in Rian's eyes, the one that said she wasn't enough. But slowly, painfully, those nights became fewer. And then came Kian. He was gentle in a world that rushed. He listened more than he spoke. And he noticed her, not just the woman who sat in the corner taking perfect notes, but the person behind the silence. They worked together on a project once. She expected awkwardness, maybe competitiveness. Instead, there was laughter. Ease. Moments that felt light in ways she had forgotten. He didn't ask about her past, not until she was ready. And when she told him, about the infertility, the divorce, the betrayal, he didn't look away. His shock was real, but so was his kindness. "I'm sorry you had to carry that alone," he said. She cried that night, but it wasn't from pain. Their love didn't explode into her life. It unfolded, like dawn spilling across the horizon. Kian didn't promise to fix her. He simply stayed. In little ways, in big ones. He was there for late-night walks, for laughter over burnt dinners, for silent support during exams. They married in a quiet ceremony, just a handful of people and a sky full of hope. Aira didn't expect miracles. She had accepted her truth. They spoke about adoption, about a future with or without children, and it never felt like a compromise. Then, one morning, she fainted. The doctor ran tests. Routine, they said. But when the nurse walked in with wide eyes and a trembling smile, everything changed. "You're pregnant," she whispered. Aira froze. "That's not possible," she said, her voice barely audible. But it was. She was. And the world tilted beneath her feet. She returned to the clinic from her past. Needed answers. Needed to believe. The old doctor, now grayer, met her with a guilty look. "I was wrong," he said. "No," she said. "You were sure. You destroyed my marriage. My life." He looked away. Then the truth broke free. "Rian asked me to change the report." The words hit her like thunder. Her knees buckled. All this time, she had never been broken. Just betrayed. Everything Rian had taken from her, her confidence, her future, her trust, it had all been based on a lie. But Aira couldn't rest without understanding why. So, one evening, she stood outside his door, heart pounding. When Rian opened it, guilt clouded his eyes. She didn't scream. She only asked, "Why?" He looked away, his voice barely a whisper. "Because it wasn't you. It was me. I was the one who was infertile. The doctor told me, said there was a chance, but slim. I couldn't face it. My ego, my pride, couldn't let you see me as less. So I paid him to change the report." Aira's breath caught. "And Mira. I wanted to prove I wasn't broken. She got pregnant, or so I thought. But the child wasn't mine. I found out months later. We separated. I lost everything. And by then, you were already gone. Happy. I didn't want to ruin that again." She stood there, frozen, not with anger, but a profound sadness. Not for the love that had ended, but for the years they had shared, the smiles, the quiet mornings, the belief that their love could endure anything. She mourned not the betrayal, but the time spent loving a man who couldn't love himself enough to be honest. She didn't speak again. She simply turned and walked away. Toward the life that had never been a lie. But she didn't go to him. Didn't scream or demand justice. She went home. To her husband. To her unborn child. To the life she built without the shadow of lies. Aira gave birth on a rainy afternoon. The storm outside couldn't touch the warmth within. As she held her baby close, Kian pressed a kiss to her forehead. She wasn't incomplete. She never had been. What Rian shattered, she rebuilt. Stronger. Wiser. Whole. She whispered to her child, voice thick with tears. "You were never impossible. Just waiting for the right moment. Some lies destroy. Others set you free." Aira chose freedom. She chose herself. And in the end, love found her, not as a rescue, but as a reward. Because she was never less. She was always enough.